Hey guys, it's Dr. Justin Marchegiani here. Today's video is going to be on what probiotics are right for me. We're going to dive into the different families of probiotics. We'll talk about it and how to kind of customize it for you. Before we do, please smash that like button. Really helps. Put your comments below. Let me know your experience using probiotics and what you've noticed yourself personally. And again, all the experience I'm going to talk about are going to be just my experience with thousands of different patients clinically. So really excited to chat about that. So out of the gates, probiotics, right? What's a probiotic, right? Beneficial types of bacteria. So the general families of probiotics are going to be like your lactobacillus family of probiotics. You have like lactobacillus acidophilus, plantarum, casei, right? All these different species of probiotics. Then you have a lot of the bifido probiotics, right? Bifidolactis, bifidolongum, right? These different families of bifido. So lactobacillus and bifido tend to be your big families out of the gates. Now, probiotics in particular, like lactobacillus acidophilus, they translate to acid loving. So they do produce acidic environment, which makes it harder for bad bugs to grow. They are going to ferment and eat what's going on in your stool, and it's going to produce nutrients, B vitamins. They're also going to produce vitamin K, and they're going to produce an acid-like environment, various antioxidants and acids to help keep the environment in check from a microbial standpoint. And then, of course, there are certain probiotics like the bifido kind of lactis family, or the infantis family is a big one that you see primarily in kids, under the age of 5. And so the infantis are going to be more in the younger kids, really important, less important on the adult side, but you'll see that really important with the kiddos. So the kiddos really want to make sure the infantis is there. Of course, probiotics we tended to get exposure to probiotics through fermented foods. As we evolved in species, as a culture, we fermented different things, right? Whether it's pickles, sauerkraut, even miso, natto, tempeh, soy, etc. So fermentation was a process that we used to keep foods good for longer periods of time. And so we tended to get a lot of that beneficial bacteria through fermentation of food. So this is a good way to try to get it if you can. I mean, you're not going to know specifically what you're getting, but you're going to get some good overall support doing good, healthy, organic food fermentation. Now, today we have some challenges with that because some people are very histamine sensitive due to gut issues, so they may not be able to handle the histamine in the fermentation process. Some may have SIBO, and the fermentable carbohydrates, the FODMAPs in some of those foods may cause bloating, gas, motility issues, constipation, diarrhea, bloating. So the FODMAPs may be an issue in some of those foods. Now, people like that, that's where we tend to go more in the spore-based probiotic family. So these are going to be like your Bacillus subtilis, Bacillus clausii, Bacillus coagulans, but Lichen right? All these different species that we tend to use more on the spore base. Very good. They hang out a little bit longer in the gut. Most of these species hang out for like 3-4 weeks and kind of move on, so they're kind of transient. But while they're there, they modulate the immune system, have great effects on interleukins and cytokines. We did a video on the gut-lung connection recently where we talked about how probiotics can affect and modulate inflammation in the lungs. So probiotics have a major effect with the gut barrier, right? Leaky gut permeability in the tight junctions in the gut. So it plays a major role with the gut barrier. That also helps modulate the immune system because you don't have all these undigested bacteria or critters making their way in there. So that's very helpful. The production of nutrients via endogenous nutrition production in the gut, right? Because we talked about the fermentation and B vitamins and vitamin K, etc. And then just the overall helping the immune system is very powerful, very helpful. I would say next after that, there's different families. Saccharomyces is a powerful one. It's kind of more of a beneficial yeast, but it's shown to be very helpful against H. pylori, against candida overgrowth, C. diff, very helpful, modulates the immune system, IgA levels. So that's a powerful probiotic that we like to keep in the mix as well. So we have our general bifido and lactobacillus species and all the different subspecies that we use. I have a probiotic in my line called Probioflora. That's about 21 different of those bifido and lactobacillus species, along with the infantis species, which is excellent. And then we'll use like either a megaspore or a spore-based probiotic, which tends to have some of those spore-based ones in there. The megaspore is nice because it has the lichen species, which is pretty rare in other brands, so I like that one as well. And then, of course, I have one called Sacroflora that has the Saccharomyces in there as well. So we'll put some of the links below so you guys can actually see the ones that I clinically use in practice for many years with patients that are very helpful. And again, with probiotics, you want to get them in a professional grade, just because the CFU units that you see on the side, that's the colony forming units, Good companies are always going to estimate the amount of probiotics at expiration, where the bad companies will tend to use the amount of probiotics at manufacture. Now that matters because you may have a 50% reduction along the way over a year or so in the amount of CFUs, colony forming units. So good companies are going to give you kind of your worst case scenario. Bad companies will give you the best case scenario. And the problem is with the best case scenario, they tend to be 60, 70, 80% less the time you actually use it. So like in my probiotic, I think it's 40 billion per serving. So you're going to get that at the, essentially the worst case scenario. So we always want to maximize the potency and the growth on that. Now with probiotics, you have your fermented and you have your supplemental. So obviously if you can get it fermentable in your diet, great. If you want to add some things in there quarterly every now and then just to get some different species, that's wonderful. The spore-based probiotics are unique because they're going to help the other beneficial flora kind of potentiate and grow. So very helpful. We're not getting a lot of spore-based probiotics in our diet, and so it's nice to be able to get those in there supplementally. And sometimes adding in fermentables such as prebiotic fibers can act like fertilizer for a lot of the beneficial probiotics. It can help those things hang around, grow. Think of it as like fertilizer for the seeds that you put down. And so we'll use things, whether it's lark tree, ribonolactone, chicory root, inulin. These are different fibers that tend to hang out in the gut and feed a lot of these beneficial bacteria that hang out. We may also use resistant starch like cool potato starch is very helpful because of the heating of the potato and then the cooling of it. You get this really cool fiber that tends to be very beneficial, feeding a lot of the gut microflora. And then things like green banana flour, unripened plantain flour can be very helpful. A little scoop in your shake or your smoothie or in your water can provide some good resistant starch that help grow a lot of these beneficial bacteria. And so the big benefits, so you have your 3 different kinds of probiotics, 3 to 4, right? Different probiotics. You have the prebiotic fibers that can be very helpful at helping to grow these different species. And then the major benefits, right? Modulating the immune system, improving gut permeability, decreasing inflammation. There's also a lot of data showing that probiotics actually make mold toxins less toxic. So if you're getting exposed to mold, good probiotics may be helpful at decreasing the toxicity and the veracity of kind of the mold in your system, right? That can be very, very helpful. And if you combine some good binders, probiotics are shown to be very helpful against a lot of different molds. So wonderful on that front. And then of course, regularity, motility, and providing a really good environment in your gut so the bad critters don't grow. That's really powerful. So I hope that helps. I'm trying to give everyone kind of practical information. The different products that we use down, we'll put them in down below. Probioflora, Sacro, and then the Megaspore products. We'll put the links down below. If you guys want to take a peek at that, you can. If you want to support the show, feel free and get those as well. Outside of that, we're going to open it up for some clinical questions. Feel free, chime in here. Also, if you want to reach out to myself, available for functional medicine support. Myself and my colleagues at the office are available functional medicine support around the country. So feel free, there'll be a little link below. You can click it and schedule a call with my office. All right, hope everyone enjoyed today's video. Let's dive in and see how I can best help y'all out. I heard it's not as important about how many live cultures of the probiotic versus more important if you're having more strains. Do you agree? I mean, you want some beneficial strains, right? You want like the different bifido and lactobacillus strains, right? There's some that are going to be like more histamine driven. So like, I think it's the KCI are going to be very histamine stimulating. So some probiotics actually have removed some of those higher histamine strains. So yeah, a lower histamine probiotic or a low delactate probiotic can be very helpful for people that are like more gut sensitive. But I would say, yeah, having at least 6 to 8 really good strains can be very beneficial. Some people will put more focus on the bifido and lactobacillus and do higher dose, especially if they're doing probiotics because they're more dose focused because they don't want to have a rebound overgrowth. But I think overall having a good mix of strains is helpful. Oh, also, if you're having a hard time with probiotics, if you're listening to this video and you're like, hey, but I'm having a hard time, I'm getting bloated, I'm getting gassy, why is that? You probably have some SIBO or some level of histamine sensitivity and your gut's out of balance. And at this case, you may have to work with a good functional medicine doc to change your diet and remove some of those bad bugs before you can start throwing in those beneficial bacteria. Kind of my analogy is you got to do the weeding before you throw down the seeds. You have to get your car washed before you get it waxed. There's a kind of an order of how things should be done to produce the best results possible. My mom's in her 60s, is able to eat lots of raw vegetables and can have sauerkraut without bloat at all. This is a good sign. Her gut is not terrible, right? She should be exploring. She should up her HCl. Yeah, if she's tolerating those foods and fermentable foods and feeling good with it, that's a really good sign. And if she's getting older, adding in more HCl just because that's going to be naturally dropping as you get older is great. That's smart. For skin infections and poor gut function, why do we first make the base strong, then apply cream for skin infection? Because applying cream in the past, skin infection not go away. What do we do first? I mean, it depends what you mean by skin infection. Are we talking like an autoimmune, like eczema, psoriasis? Are we talking like a bacterial infection or a fungal infection? Because that all matters, right? And so depending on what those issues are, autoimmune things, we may be making more diet changes, right? We may be adding specific essential oils to some of those things, like a tea tree or a oil of oregano or even a silver or even like a peppermint. So there's different essential oils that we may put in like a cream base to kind of topically knock down the microbes. Or if we're just looking for some hydration on like eczema, for instance, or psoriasis, there may be some very hypoallergenic creams that we add on there to provide hydration so it's not super itchy while we fix the internal problem. If you take good quality probiotics like yours and you don't have any reactions, you're probably good to go. Keep taking them. Yeah, I think that's totally fine. I read that Saccharomyces boulardii can be beneficial for lung respiratory function. Is that true? I mean, yeah, it's going to have a major effect with IgA, and that's part of the immune system. And of course, that would have an influence on the potential immune mucosal barrier in the lungs, I think, too. So that makes sense. Which are good for abdominal wall thickening. So, I mean, I would just say, it depends what you mean by thickening, but in general, just good, healthy gut lining. Inflammation tends to thin out the gut lining. So obviously having a good diet, reducing inflammation, good probiotics, they're going to be very anti-inflammatory. So I think all the probiotics I mentioned, we're going to have a nice anti-inflammatory effect and more than likely benefit having good, healthy gut function. Also combining in things like glycine and L-glutamine can be very helpful to feed those enterocytes, help support a healthy gut lining on that front as well. And just making sure you're infection-free, right? Infections and gut inflammation will put stress on that gut and can wear it out over time. Also, if you're chronically stressed, high levels of cortisol can wear out that gut lining, so keeping your cortisol in check is also very helpful too. All right, guys, this is Dr. J signing off. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Click the link below for products, and if you want to reach out to myself, my staff, there'll be a little link for you guys to schedule. All right, hope you enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, let me know. Thanks. Take care, y'all.